Let's start with normal braking. Both pilot brake pedals are mechanically interconnected and apply hydraulic pressure from number 1 system through a brake control valve to the inboard and outboard wheels of both main gear. When the brakes are released, return pressure through the brake control valve releases pressure on the wheels. The right pilot pedals move the left pilot pedals, but the opposite is not true. Braking with the left pilot pedals does not move the right pilot pedals. Note that each pilot's left and right pedals are independent. The left slows the left main gear, and the right pedal slows the right main gear. So differential braking can be used to steer the aircraft. With the anti-skid switch on, speed sensors on each wheel send signals to an anti-skid control unit. The PSEU also provides weight on wheels input to the control unit. Brake pressure to the brake unit on each wheel is applied through anti-skid valves and through shuttle valves. Anti-skid is activated at wheel spin-up speeds over 35 knots and deactivated below 10 knots. For low-friction runways, when wheel spin-up is too slow, the anti-skid system delays braking for 5 seconds to minimize the chance of skidding. The system performs a self-test when switched on with the gear down and locked. During the self-test, the inboard and outboard anti-skid caution lights will not illuminate. It can also be tested with the test position. Touch the switch to move it to the test position. In the test position, the anti-skid caution lights go on for 3 seconds in flight or 6 seconds on ground. Then go off if the system is OK. The emergency and parking brake system is entirely separate from normal braking. It is powered from number 2 hydraulic system and has its own controls and indicators. It's operated from the parking brake lever with 3 settings: off, the emergency braking range, and the park position. It has its own pressure gauge on the hydraulic part of the right pilot MFD, reading 0 to 4000 psi, and a caution light that illuminates when the parking brake is engaged. If normal braking fails, and number 1 hydraulic system fails, the emergency braking still has its own accumulator in the right wing root. Normally charged by number 2 hydraulic pressure, it can also be charged on ground by its own hand pump in nacelle number 2 if pressure is too low before starting engines. When fully charged, it has sufficient pressure for emergency braking or for about 6 parking brake applications. The emergency system feeds into the main system at the shuttle valves, so it uses the same brake units. Moving the emergency brake lever signals the emergency and parking brake control valve and applies hydraulic pressure in proportion to its movement through the manifold, then through the shuttle valves to all brake control units. Emergency hydraulic pressure joins downstream of the anti-skid control valves, so anti-skid is not available during emergency braking. And because emergency braking is applied equally to all wheels, differential braking is also not possible. If hydraulic system number 2 is not available, then the emergency brake accumulator links in here and is charged on ground by a hand pump here. Don't confuse this with the alternate extension hand pump. Nose wheel steering is supplied from number 2 hydraulic system and controlled from the rudder pedals for high-speed taxi, takeoff and landing, or the steering handle for low-speed taxi. Both high-speed and low-speed steering are controlled through a nose wheel steering control unit, SCU. The SCU is activated for nose wheel steering when this left panel switch is in the steering position and the PSEU gives on-ground signals. A switch deactivates the normal steering mode, releasing hydraulic pressure if the nose wheel exceeds 70 degrees. The nose wheel steering moves into a free caster mode limited to plus or minus 120 degrees. Problems with the SCU trigger the nose steering caution light. The light also illuminates if the nose wheel steering exceeds 70 degrees. Hydraulic pressure is released and the steering moves into free caster mode.